Hello TV fans and welcome to Lost in the Reel. Today I'm going to be covering the new true crime limited series, A Friend of the Family, premiering exclusively on Peacock. Does this dramatized series bring anything new to the table that we haven't already seen in the hit documentary? Let's talk about it. A Friend of the Family is created by Nick and Tosca. It stars Anna Paquin, Colin Hanks, Jake Lacey, Leo Tipton, Hendrix Yancey, and McKenna Grace. The series premieres exclusively on Peacock Thursday, October 6th with 4 episodes, and the remaining 5 will drop weekly through November 10th. A Friend of the Family tells the harrowing true story of the Broberg family, whose daughter Jan was kidnapped multiple times over a period of years by a charismatic, obsessed family friend. The documentary Abducted in Plain Sight captured the world by storm when audiences discovered it on Netflix. The film, in fact, was one of the catalysts of my own resurgent fascination with the true crime genre. Something about this story felt so stranger than fiction, leaving viewers shocked that something as crazy as this could possibly happen in real life. But the idea of stretching said story, which was suitably told in 90 minutes in the documentary, to 9 episodes with this dramatized series, seemed a bit gratuitous to me. And going off of the 6 episodes that Peacock provided for early review, I can't help but stick to my guns that this length was unwarranted. Yet I still found myself captivated by the show nonetheless, especially for one particular reason. A Friend of the Family follows the Broberg clan, devout Mormons who lived a quiet life in a small suburb of Idaho. They become best friends with their neighbors, the Birchtolds, who also attend their church. But the patriarch of the family, Bob, who also goes by B, becomes obsessed with the eldest Broberg daughter, Jan. He slowly manipulates the entire family to get closer to the girl who he wants to claim as his own, until he kidnaps and sexually abuses her, not once, but twice. The creator of A Friend of the Family, Nick and Tosca, has been quite busy as of late. When he's not creating twisted, mind-bending series like Channel Zero or brand new Cherry Flavor, he's churning out true crime shows like The Act and this year's Candy, which starred Jessica Biel. And while I was a fan of both of those Hulu originals, I felt like both of them dragged along until they finally picked up at the end. With A Friend of the Family, which I do think is his most accomplished work yet in this genre, I was much more engaged throughout, although I still yearned for the show to just get to the point in some spots. This is definitely due to the fact that they have really stretched this story to its limits, as I previously mentioned. There isn't a whole lot here that wasn't at least touched upon in the documentary, and Tosca has taken a lot of smaller details that were brought up there and expanded upon them exponentially with his series. And I'm sure having the victim herself, Jan Broberg, as executive producer certainly helped in gathering valuable insight into the inner workings of her family. I would say the biggest takeaway I got from this show that felt glossed over in the movie was all of the different ways B manipulated Bob and Marianne Broberg, and how through those manipulations he gained power and control over the family, thus making it easier for him to get away with his crimes. It still doesn't take away from the fact that these parents were so frustratingly naive, but the series does a much better job at making it more clear how something as diabolical as this could ever have happened in the first place. I think the biggest thing working in A Friend of the Family's favor is how great the cast is. Anna Paquin and Colin Hanks have the difficult task of making 2 typical 70s straight-laced blue-collar parents interesting. And they do an admirable job in getting us to feel their emotional pain, especially when their marriage begins to fall apart. Hendrix Yancey, who plays Jan at 12 years old, is a dead ringer for the real Broberg at that age, and handles the difficult material well. Though I'm still confused as to why they decided they needed to cast two different actresses for the role of Jan, when the timeline between the two is only a couple of years apart. Was McKenna Grace only available for half of the shooting days? I don't get it. The stroke of genius here, though, was casting the White Lotus and The Office alum Jake Lacy as the sociopathic Bob Birchtold. Lacy is able to capture exactly why the man in real life was able to pull this off. He is so damn charming and likable. Yet underneath the facade, the actor relishes in this character's calculated manipulations, slimy conduct, and sinister ulterior motives. His shit-eating grin and piercing eyes take the audience prisoner, and he creates a truly great screen villain in the process. It would be a crime if Lacy didn't get a second Emmy nomination for his work here. His performance is that phenomenal. I also loved the 70s style title cards and intricate period detail. From the production design, soundtrack, props, and costumes, all the way to the post-production work. Everything feels meticulously authentic, and it all really helps to transport you back to this era. This was one of my favorite aspects about Candy, and Antosca proves here again that he has a real knack for conceiving a time and place and bringing it to life. I think this is one of the few things that sets his work apart from all of the other true crime series out there. My only other qualm with A Friend of the Family, besides the length, is that at the end of the day, it just doesn't feel like essential viewing. If you've seen the documentary, you already have a grasp on the story and everything that is to come. So unless you're a huge true crime buff, I'm not sure that this series is a must-watch. But if you're like me and are constantly searching for the next biopic, documentary, or limited series in this genre to consume, then A Friend of the Family will certainly appease your appetite. So I will be giving A Friend of the Family 3.25 bouquets of flowers out of 5. Though this series is superfluous in length and not essential viewing if you've already seen the documentary, it is still a riveting watch for true crime lovers. The intricate period detail and a flawlessly devilish performance from Jake Lacy elevate this show slightly above the rest in the genre. Thank you so much for watching Lost in the Reel. What are your thoughts on A Friend of the Family? What are some of the new things that you learned from the show that you hadn't known before? And what is your favorite true crime series of 2022 so far? Sound off in the comment section down below. And until next time, my friends, take care.